There are claims that Russia is promoting the use of nuclear weapons, with state propaganda trying to make Russians think a nuclear war isn't such a bad thing. In an interview with the BBC, the Russian journalist and the Nobel Peace Prize laureate Dmitry Muratov said state TV channels have been talking about a nuclear tsunami that would wash away America, and said he couldn't rule out President Putin pressing the nuclear button. He's been speaking to the BBC's Russia editor, Steve Rosenberg.
2 generations have lived without the threat of nuclear war, but this period is over. Will Putin press the nuclear button or won't he? Who knows? No one knows this.
Many people in the West say Putin would never go nuclear. He's just bluffing.
Look, in Russia, we see how propaganda is preparing people to think that nuclear war isn't a bad thing. On state TV channels here, nuclear war and nuclear weapons are promoted as if they're advertising pet food. They announce, we've got this missile, that missile, another kind of missile. And they talk about a nuclear tsunami that would wash away America. People in Russia have been irradiated by propaganda. Propaganda is a type of radiation. Everyone is susceptible to it, not just Russians. In Russia, propaganda is 12 TV channels, tens of thousands of newspapers, social media like the Russian version of Facebook, that serves completely the state ideology.
Now, the two powerhouses of the world, India and China, in the recent history, their relationship has not been a good one. The ties between India and China have deteriorated significantly following the fierce clash at the Galwan Valley in June 2020, and that marked the most serious conflict between the two neighbours in decades. But according to a senior Chinese diplomat, the earlier situation of emergency control at the India-China border is now a matter of past, and overall it is fairly stable at present. Interacting with journalists on Friday evening, the Minister Councillor of the Chinese Embassy in India, Chen Juanjun, said that the two Asian giants continue to maintain communication via diplomatic and military channels, promoting the transition of the border situation to normalized management and control. Now, if we were to go back in history and take a look as to how the two nations have in fact interacted with each other, on the 9th of December, the Indian and the Chinese soldiers clashed along the line of actual control in the Tawang sector of Arunachal Pradesh, resulting in minor injuries to a few personnel on either side. The clash near Yangtze in the sensitive sector took place amidst the border standoff between the two sides in eastern Ladakh. Moreover, the other significant clash between the two sides had happened in the June of 2020, where military personnel from both sides had fought at the Galwan Valley, the most serious military conflict between India and China in recent decades. Now, according to the Chinese diplomat, the two nations could in fact draw strength from their ancient civilizations and share oriental wisdom with the world, so as to jointly maintain the stability of the international order.
In other world news, Honduras has formally broken off decades-long diplomatic relations with Taiwan and switched to China. It comes after the Honduran foreign minister traveled to Beijing to discuss establishing ties. This leaves Taiwan with only 13 diplomatic allies. China considers self-ruled Taiwan as part of its territory to be retaken by force if necessary. The U.S. says Honduras' action is a sovereign decision, but has warned that China often makes empty promises.
We will not engage in meaningless dollar diplomacy with China. In the past few years, China has constantly used various methods to suppress Taiwan's international participation, has increased its military incursions against us, and attacked regional peace and stability. These pressures and threats will not alter the reality that Taiwan and the People's Republic of China are not affiliated with each other. Neither will they decrease the will of the Taiwanese people to insist on freedom and democracy while walking with big strides towards the world.
U.S. senators voted today to repeal the laws which provide the legal grounds to go to war with Iraq in 1991 and 2002. The measure from Senator Tim Kaine eliminates the authorizations for use of military force in Iraq. The bill passed in a 66-30 vote. Kaine is applauding the move, saying it returns war-making authority to Congress.
This has been a passion of mine since long before I came to the Senate, and as a member of the Armed Services and Foreign Relations Committee in a state that is as connected to our military mission as any. I really am passionate about working on these issues every day.
The bill now heads to the House. The White House has shown support for repealing the AUMFs.